is brought to you by NFT Basel. You guys really have to check out the exhibition next door. It's amazing. By GDA Capital and Elitium. So the emergence of NFTs really shook up the world of art. So how do we accurately and adequately bring together and create this convergence of these two worlds, the world of technology and the world of art? Well, let's find together with our panelists, please. Let me introduce the moderator for this session, Raoul Milhado, founder and CEO of Elitium. Hi, Raoul. I'll let you introduce your panelists. And you see Joel is coming back on stage soon.
Does it work? Wonderful. We have Estelle here. She's the CEO of NFT Basel, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We have Amrita. She's the world famous NFT Mural artist and the #1 NFT artist of Dubai. And we have my good friend Joel he's the founder of Art Wallet. I think you have seen him just now in the previous panel, but now we're going to talk about his favorite subject, NFTs. Welcome everybody. Is everybody having a good time? Okay, great. Today we're going to talk about NFTs. What a surprise. As you just heard, NFT Basel is next door, and today we're doing this panel about NFTs. We're going to talk about, well, the beautiful mural, what we did yesterday. We're going to talk about the future of NFTs. We're also going to touch a little bit the topic of the future of digital assets, not just about art and NFTs, because, well, we kind of know a little bit about it. I also really want to tap into how the rest of the panel is thinking about the future of digital assets, NFTs, and how this is going to change the digital economy we're basically in right now. So, Estelle, I want to start with you. She's my partner in NFT Basel. She's the new appointed CEO. Maybe you can tell a little bit about what we're doing at NFT Basel.
So we basically started this about 7 months ago. Basically, GBCW Capital, which is a crypto merchant bank, as well as Elitium and myself, I've been in the art business for quite some time, dealing in secondary art market, blue chip art, and so forth. And we decided to form this company called NFT Basel. And our first launch event, which was a proof of concept, took place in June in Miami. And we really didn't know what to expect. So what we did is we brought together physical artists, so physical pieces of art, and we digitalized them. So we had both the physical art and the digital art on display in the same venue. We thought we were going to have about 200 people. We had close to 600. So proof of concept went extremely well. Media received it really well. We realized we were onto something, and we were going to do something quite remarkable. And we've been working at this ever since. We obviously have expanded our portfolio of artists. And we weren't necessarily looking for just, the sort of futuristic Star Trek kind of NFT digital art. We took the physical art of traditional artists and we went back to the source of what their vision was. What did they think of when they created that physical piece of art? We worked with them independently on creating a more three-dimensional version of what their art was supposed to be like. How to connect the buyer to the artist through a multi-dimensional perspective, and to be able to allow the buyer to understand the artist on a much deeper level. So we were kind of bridging the gap between traditional art world and disruptive technology through a deeper sense of understanding and meaning, and taking it to the next level. I think it was surprising to most of the buyers and most of the people who attended. We also found that traditional art markets have always been a real oligarchy, controlled by the elite, sort of a small group of people who had the monopoly on the entire art market. We wanted to bring the the art market more to the masses, you know, to give access to those who don't necessarily have access to curators, consultants, private art buyers, and so forth. And I think that the NFT art revolution is really a revolution of the masses. You know, you can compare it to the Industrial Revolution, because what it's done, it's given a voice to all those who never had a voice. It's given access to those who never had access. And, you know, people, I speak to artists all the time who used to pump gas at gas stations, and suddenly they're digital artists, and they're world famous, and they're selling for incredible amounts of money. So, you know, the NFT revolution is really a social revolution that's opened the doors for everyone to have access to the art market. It's no longer this elitist little group that controls everything. So this is where we sort of differentiate ourselves.
And Estelle, when we started NFT Basel, it was quite difficult to convince these artists to work with us, because all new and they had no clue what these NFTs are. Do you think that's changing now because of what we're doing, not just with NFT Basel, but also because of the, you know, the whole space is becoming more mature?
Like anything new, you know, education is a huge part of everything that we do. We not only educate the audience, but we have to educate the artists, because they didn't necessarily have access to all this or understand what this even represents in essence. So education, I think. Major key.
Absolutely agree. Amrita, sorry Joel, first delay. Amrita, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because you are a famous NFT artist. We did an amazing job yesterday with the mural. What is your journey? When did you become an NFT artist?
So actually, I've also had an interesting journey just to becoming an artist. So I originally started off as a banker, so I've been in finance for a very, very long time. Not that long, I'm not that old. I actually left the banking world to go entrepreneurial, and then that's when I kind of found my voice. I became an artist, and I created my art style called voice note art. And then, you know, during the pandemic, they say that there's, you know, with every challenge there's opportunity, and none much so for me, because by kind of leaving the physical art world behind because of the pandemic, that's where I discovered NFTs. And that's how I became the first NFT artist in Dubai. And so what's been very interesting on that journey is then the journey since then, right? So I got that point where I am a physical artist, but I'm also a digital artist. But actually, my art starts from a digital journey, which I can transform to a physical, which then I can transform back to a digital. And I think the mural that I did yesterday, or I unveiled yesterday, I've been working on it for a while, obviously I didn't paint it in one day, but I did paint it in a week, which is something of exceptional reality, is this taking this concept of really making something physical back into the digital, but in this, I would even take it now to one step further, is a hybrid reality.
Can you give the audience a little bit more information about, or specification about what we did with the AR and the blockchain and the combination of all these different technologies?
100%. So who knows here the DIFC? Who's been to the DIFC? So it's basically, for those of you who are new to Dubai, it is the financial hub in the UAE. And luckily, we found this very beautiful wall. I mean, it's like 45 meters long by 15 meters high. And we managed to get the approval to actually paint on it. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been creating this massive physical artwork, mural, that's dressing basically the skyline of Dubai. So even the wall, if you kind of take it at an angle, you've got the Burj Khalifa in the back, and then you've got this wall. And I managed to get it, so we've created, the words that I've used are Future NFT Dubai. Now, that is a massive, I would say, from the NFT community, that's a massive statement to be making on one of the world's biggest capitals, with one of the world's most iconic aspects in the background. So even if you're just taking it from the simple 2D wall, it's quite epic on that scale. But then the second thing was that to take a photo of it, to take that digital piece into and make it an NFT mural, which is what we've done. So we've created the mural, we've created the NFT, but then I said, let's blow people's minds even more. And now when you go and visit the wall, there's a QR code which you scan, you point your phone then at the image of the wall, and you're immersed in augmented reality. And what is so cool is that because of the scale of the wall, it's 15 meters long by 20 meters high, you are literally in the augmented reality, you're listening, it's got sound playing in it, and you're just kind of really engulfed in that. And I think this is where this new hybrid reality is what's going to change the world.
Absolutely. It's very incredible. So it's still there till how long? It's going to be there for a while, so you can just go to the parking lot of the DIFC and you see it. You can check it out yourself. It's through the Instagram app, and 90% of the people here will have it, so it's actually really cool.
And you can actually, obviously, at NFT Basel, you can actually, go and see, I've got some physical pieces and NFTs on that.
Yeah, there will be for auction tonight. So Joelle, sorry for let you waiting. So you've been in the space for quite some years. Tell us your opinion about NFTs. Is this just going to be another trend like ICOs, IDOs, whatever term I can come up with? Is NFT a trend, or do you think it's going to change the future?
Well, I just want to start off by saying wonderful things about both of the women next to me, because I was there at the inaugural NFT Basel, and I just was really impressed, by the vision behind it and exactly what was being said, the kind of bridge between, these two different worlds, and the kind of arts world. And I've been to some other fine arts, because I've done some exhibitions and things like that myself, and I found them just sort of dry, like I wouldn't go back because I, for lack of a better word, I was bored, and NFT Basel has been anything but boring. And it's always kind of been at the bleeding edge, and I can see it really growing into this really amazing global brand that is really transforming all these things that we thought we knew about the traditional fine arts industry. So it's just very, exciting to see that. And in a similar way, kind of, knowing Amrita for a while and kind of seeing the process, going from a voice to a vibration into a physical art piece to a much larger physical art piece to the AR layers that are being added onto it. I think it's very, very cool, and it's why I like to actually sometimes talk more about the metaverse than about blockchains or NFTs and stuff like that, because in some ways all of what we're doing is bridging, as I was saying previously, kind of between the unseen world. We can hear each other, but you can't normally see those vibrations, right? All the things that are in the unseen world, and then into, what we can perceive, and the ways that we can perceive it in a more definite way. And that is something that there's a lot of technology being developed in parallel. And the digital asset blockchain layer is one of what I usually describe as 3 different layers that's part of that. And they all kind of move at their own pace. The blockchain industry, as anyone who's been around, there's usually a huge hype cycle and then a huge consolidation cycle. And and in fact, during the last consolidation cycle, whatever, I was making virtual reality apps because I thought it was really amazing to put stuff on the Steam store and see how Vive worked and see how the Oculus stuff, technology worked. So there's sometimes a way in which you have to adjust basically to the way the industry and human psychology works. But yeah, the future is immense and very bright, I would say.
Amazing, thank you. Estelle, question. I know you just pointed out the vision and the mission we all have here. What is your dream? How do you see NFTs in 5 years? How do you see NFT Basel in 5 years? How do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see the future of NFTs, and how you want to accomplish your dreams?
Something that you just touched upon, and if you think about our generation and how things are changing, everything that we've been doing in technology is kind of adding dimension to life, right? And if you look at NFTs, and especially art NFTs or any asset NFTs, we're adding layers, like Amrita's art. We're adding layers, we're enhancing reality. We're making it deeper. We're giving people a deeper vision of the physical. And I think that honestly, there's no limits to what we can do with this. There's really no limits. And I'm really grateful for the wonderful team that we have and the synergy, and I think that NFT Basel is gonna hit the sky. So let's enjoy the
So
ride.
that's the dream already. So Rita, you're wearing something special today, and you're also wearing whatever it is. So tell us a little bit more about your outfit, about what you have on your face right now, and yeah, tell us a little bit more.
So, I mean, one of the other kind of uses, or people have sort of kind of burst into the scenes is not just NFT art, but it's also about NFT fashion, right? So, how do you then interplay, again, the physical with the digital? And what I've done is, and I do think this is really going to be the future, right? So what I've done is, I'm kind of wearing wearable art, or like, yeah. So you kind of scan the QR code here, and I'm just going to get up and show everyone. Once you scan the QR code, which is the same QR code that's obviously on the mural, you can then scan the image behind me, and my entire outfit comes to life. So after this, if I'm walking around, please do feel free to stop me, scan me, and you know, you can kind of play me, so to speak. And the idea is for me, this is really the introduction to digital. And I think I'm a big believer, because I came from the physical world, what I call the physical world. So I was a banker, I didn't know anything about this world, I became an artist. And I think the mainstream still needs to be introduced to the digital. Yeah, if you're deeply digital, you're deeply digitally, you get it, right? But the mainstream don't. And I think by creating this mural, everyone, I mean, my friends brought some of their children yesterday to the wall unveil, because now, even if, you know, you don't go, and I think to Joel's point, let's transcend the concept of what is the technology behind it. Let's just get people to enjoy it. So when people came yesterday, were they asking, oh, what is the blockchain technology? Isn't this just a JPEG? Or whatever everybody's talking about. Oh, isn't NFTs gonna be a boom or a bust? Who cares? Because you're actually experiencing the art, and we're showcasing what it actually means. What it actually means to the mainstream. So the mainstream are like, oh my God, this is to another level. Because with physical, you're limited to your 2D dimension. With the digital, you can go within dimension to dimension to dimension. And I think that the same thing with regards to the fashion is, you know, again, if you're deeply digital, you'll get it. Coca-Cola releases an NFT augmented reality jacket. And everyone's like, what's so cool about that? But now imagine I've got my QR code on me, and you scan me and boom, I'm like in the coolest jacket ever. Or boom, I'm in the sexiest outfit ever. Or boom, I'm just like, you know, I'm just like augmenting reality all over the place. And I think this is what we need to show people, and that's what people want to see. That's what's going to change people's minds. That's what's going to show that NFTs can add so much digital dimension and change the way you look at things. And that's why I think it's so cool.
So we're talking a lot about experience, right? We want to create this whole new 3.0 experience, and we're using the latest technologies to achieve that. So Joel, can you tell us a little bit more about the NFT Drop we're doing tonight, the car, the extra layer that you put on top of it by moving people to your app with the prize they can win. So we've tried to add layers, right? So tell us about yours.
Yeah, it was very similar in the kind of layering process, because, you know, right now, you know, you probably know there's whatever Bored Apes and Punks and all this stuff, but we're doing the first NFT drop with a kind of auction this evening that will have layered things that actually bridges into the real world. So I think momentarily the sort of NFT wrapped car by the sort of artist BAZL and you know, Dr. Marban is going to show up here. And one of the people to get this sort of, one of these crypto Apollos, we're dropping 1,111, will win the car, and there will be a bunch of other prizes that will be dropped behind it as well. And we're building, you know, part of what Art Wallet is, you mentioned Art Wallet is a kind of layer 2 solution for the whole NFT industry to allow people to get extra content that you wouldn't necessarily be able to, you know, consume on an ordinary marketplace. So, like a physical car is an example of that. Some of the AR stuff is an example of that. Some of the audio-visual streaming technology that we have planned and in the pipeline is an example of that. So, I don't know, I couldn't be more excited to be doing that tonight and doing it with all of you. So.
Yeah, it's super cool. So Estelle, can you tell us a little bit more, not just to promote NFT Basel, that's not why we're sitting here, but more about the whole like type of audience that we were able to get on board, and talk about the artists, the type of buyers. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about the type of artists we work with? Maybe highlight a few. Super Buddha is here. Who else flew in? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So some of our artists arrived. We have digital artists who are based in Amsterdam who are here. One of them, for example, takes 4 months to create one image. I mean, the attention to detail is just mind-blowing. We have Super Buddha, who's here from Miami, a real character and a lot of fun, and he creates really, really whimsical sort of caricatures of life, of real life. We have a few artists, one artist that is based in South Africa. He uses micropixelism, so we were able to add layers to his micropixelism, which is really thick layering of paint, very mathematically calculated, and we've created the digital versions of this where it really shows how the art is actually formed in the first place. And then we also have artists out of Portugal who, you know, paint these beautiful images, all painted. There's no mixed media, all on canvas, and we actually we dissected the original images to show through the NFT, through the digital work, what is the process? How does the artist actually create this original piece? As well as another artist who's based out of Montreal, now living in Greece, Andre Monet. He actually does collage. So what we've done is we've dissected his art into the layers that he uses to create these pieces to show through the digital work again, what is the process? And then you see it from a 3-dimensional perspective, and you know, you really get to understand how is this piece of art made. We have tons. I mean, look, I'm not trying to promote, but come and have a look, to be honest.
Thank you, Estelle. And Amrita, I just asked Estelle about her dream. You recently have been featured on CNN. You just did the mural on the DFC building. You're becoming a very world-known NFT artist. What's next?
Oh wow, there's a lot planned. In fact, to be honest, it's kind of hard to keep up at the moment. And I think everybody in this place, if they're in the crypto world, you know we work at like 5,000 the speed of like normal world people. But actually, before I want to talk about that, because I want to tell you kind of what kind of cool stuff is coming up next for me, I wanted to touch on a point that I think, you know, Sasha Jaffrey made in one of the previous panel, is talking about sort of art with intention and art that, you know, needs to have that. And I think a lot of the time, sometimes what's happening in the NFT world, it's a good thing that obviously, and I mean, this is a great thing that artists can kind of now make a lot of money. And I think this is where obviously the hype has been, and you know, there's been a lot of conversation around money and stuff like that. But I think, you know, going further and beyond, which is great, but then the problem I think sometimes is some NFT artists are now, or NFT artists now getting this thing of, oh, well, it's all just about the money. And it's not about the intention, and it's not about all of that. And I think that, you know, something that I do, and I think this is what I quite like about how I paint the mural, and how I have converted it to this kind of digital piece, is that when I'm painting murals, I'm very much, I also believe in a lot of energy, and I think energy is extremely important. And I think that when you put intention into a piece, whether it's a physical or a digital piece, you can put intention into it. And so my idea is that when I'm creating my digital pieces, I put intention. When I create my physicals, when I'm even creating the mural, I will listen to inspirational things that are connected to me, people that I follow, gurus that I follow. Because what I want to do is I want to put intention into that wall. Because I believe energetically, the minutes the people who are walking past that, the people who are being part of that, is that they're actually getting the vibration. Now, some people might think that's absolute whatever, but for me, I think that's extremely important. So the great thing about having the ability to have the physical, you can put the intention in physically, but you can also put something in digitally because it's all about the intention. And the most important thing as well is that while it's important to give the intention of energy and a positive effect, I also want to give the intention to inspire. Like, I love, honestly, it was all worth it. Like, I don't, in a grand scheme of things, yes, of course I'd like my art to sell and people to enjoy it, but the biggest kick for me yesterday was just watching people go, oh my God, I've just never seen that, and realize how digital artwork can transcend so many things that we're just limited to in our physical life. So, having said that, in terms of kind of my next things, is I want to continue to create work that literally, in lack of a better word, blows your mind. So I have, what's coming up next for me is during COVID, is how I found NFTs. I actually was creating an algorithm for my voice note art without even knowing what NFTs were. So I've taken me a year and a bit to create this algorithm, and I'm really excited that sometime this year I'm going to be creating or dropping, which is the unique technology that combines sound wave, the images, into something that you can literally regenerate a completely rare, scarce, unique voice note art based on your voice, based on your story, that will then, I think, just kind of, I want people's minds to be blown, basically.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I think one of the things that many people do not appreciate who are like old fine art, people, is that, when you build technology from the ground up, it takes multiple iterations for it to get to a stage where it's usable at all for the first place, and then it performs at the ideal function, and sometimes that's a half decade. I mean, people talk about MetaMask, it's what now, like 8 years or 7 years into the MetaMask building process or something, and there's still a mile of, usability improvements that could be made in some of this infrastructure. So, some of this stuff is always going to be a little bit clunky at first, and it's the startup life. We're all kind of in it. Basically showing what the future can look like in little bits and pieces, and then the next iteration is it's going to be that much more amazing, and we're going to be at the forefront. I mean, I'm absolutely convinced that everyone on the stage is going to be, sailing into this next future, and it's going to be astounding. So,
absolutely. I think we're running out of time. I don't know how much time we have left, but we'll just continue. Just then, one final question for you, Estelle. We talked about something really epic. Like, one day we want to be in a stadium, right? Like, we want to just bring it to another bigger level, higher level. For example, right now you see Microsoft, they just launched Microsoft 11, and they did it with an NFT drop. Messi, the most famous world's most famous football player, was paid partly in PSG tokens. Like, what would be something like a football, none of the football players, or a famous artist, or someone that we could bring as a partner? What would be the most epic thing in your opinion when we do a stadium session?
Honestly, I mean,
You're thinking of Madonna?
to me, it would be if we took the old masters, really, and we created something with that, because then you would take the old masters to another level altogether if we were able to do that. It's not an easy task, because you would have to get a lot of people to agree to it, but I think that would be a very, very cool thing to do. But then, to be honest, any asset, I even think that, if we're looking to authenticate things, we could potentially use even items, for example, Dolce & Gabbana right now sold an entire collection as an NFT. What about if we did like high worth sort of handbags, jewelry? We want to authenticate things that will always be authenticated through us. You know, that's a good way to do that, right? To be honest, there's no limit to it.
What about you, Joel? If we do this stadium session, how do we make it even more epic than we do today?
I love that suggestion. It made me think, of Dali's work, Secrets of Magical Craftsmanship, and and Salvador Dali and Botticelli and people are similar, that they did very deliberately go back to patterns of nature and mathematics and use them as layering techniques kind of in their own works. And I think that some of these things are absolutely there, and these integration points, between the different kind of technologies to basically even just let us the layers that already are in the works of these great masters, which are often invisible to people.
Connecting old and new.
Absolutely, thank you. Amrita, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, the only thing I would kind of add is, and it's something I say a lot, is making people, getting the mainstream out of the gallery and into the arena. And so, I think it's really important to kind of break away from such a technology-driven world and language and just do things that inspire people, that get people excited, that people can connect to. And that's really, then once it becomes so normal, then the future is there. We're not pushing it anymore.
Thank you very much. This was the end. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And see you around.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks to your panelists.